I believe that millennials are the burnout generation. I mean, we grew up in an era of rapid technological advancement where I remember 20 years ago buying a ringtone, a Scooby Doo ringtone on a Nokia 3310 and playing Snake all day was the height of technology. How cringy does that sound nowadays? But again, the last 20 years, the pace of life has accelerated exponentially. Nowadays, we're constantly bombarded with this information, these expectations, and the pressure to succeed both personally and professionally. This constant striving for more and more can take a toll on our mental and emotional well being. Welcome to episode 48 of Give Yourself Some Leeway with me, your host, Eugene Lee. Today, I want to dive into something that I've heard floating around a lot recently, and that's that we are the burnout generation and that it's just something we need to get on with and live with. And it kind of beg the question, who are the burnout generation? And to my understanding, I believe that millennials are the burnout generation. And there are a lot of factors that come into play. So I just want to go through a few of those factors today and how we can put in systems and strategies in place to help overcome those factors that make us more susceptible to burnout. So let me know what you think. You can reach out to me at giveyourselfsomeleeway.com and book a call. We can have a chat for 20 or 30 minutes. You can reach out to me on Instagram, send me a DM at eugene.leeway or shoot me an email, eugene@leeway.ie. So first of all, when it comes to millennials, I feel that we have grown up with these rapid technological advancements. I mean, the last 20 years, I remember buying Scooby Doo ringtones on my Nokia 3310 and playing Snake for hours. And that was the height of technology back then. That sounds so cringy to think that's only 20 years ago buying MIDI ringtones. And since then, we've had this rapid advancement. It's like the pace of our life has accelerated exponentially. I mean, we've witnessed the smartphones. I remember it was like iPhones and touchscreens and stuff when I was like 20 years old. We've had social media, oh my God, Bebo, MySpace, and the like. And now that we have Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and we have this constant connectivity nowadays. And while these advancements have brought so many benefits to our lives, they have also brought these expectations that are placed upon us. We're like constantly juggling so many responsibilities and facing the pressure of trying to always stay online, always stay connected and up to date with everything, being constantly stimulated and being expected to respond immediately once a message is read or delivered. It creates this constant state of chronic stress and exhaustion. So if you think about like when we're constantly connected to our smartphones, we're receiving these notifications from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, getting emails from work and all these text messages around the clock. It really blurs the boundary between our work and our personal life. So it's not uncommon to find yourself checking your work emails late at night before bed or feeling the need to respond to messages immediately, even if it's your day off or you're having a personal or you're taking some personal time. You just have this constant expectation that you should be plugged in, and it leaves you feeling overwhelmed and deprived of what seems like a luxury. Having downtime seems like a luxury. I think another thing that comes into play is with this connectivity, we're constantly influenced by social media, and this really contributes to millennial burnout. So we're constantly seeing these carefully curated images of success and achievement. If you think like these photoshopped photos of people going on holidays to Cancun or the Maldives, and people showcasing their seemingly perfect lives, it creates this sense of inadequacy or FOMO, a fear of missing out. We feel like we're being pressured to keep up with everyone, that we need to match the achievements of those people who are probably the same age or younger than us, seemingly being millionaires or getting rich overnight. Kind of, yeah, success overnight. Overnight success isn't really a thing, but we'll get to that. Um, yeah, it's just when you find yourself scrolling through Instagram and seeing people sharing their like glamorous holiday photos 365 days a year, and maybe showcasing their going up getting up the progression ladder progression in work on LinkedIn. I'm just using Instagram and LinkedIn as examples because that's where I hang out most of the time. It's natural that we compare ourselves to the highlight reels that other people share and wondering why we don't have the same material to share, that we haven't achieved similar milestones to them. There's this constant comparison to others and the need for validation. And this can lead to anxiety, inadequacy, and a relentless pursuit for success that probably doesn't align to our own values or our own aspirations. Another factor that does come into play is we've seen a lot of economic challenges, especially in the last 2 decades. We've had a recession only, Jesus, was it 17, 18 years ago? And now we have another possible recession now as well. And there's a lot of student debt that millennials are carrying. And also nowadays we have this gig economy where people are freelancing, and we have people doing Fiverr and Upwork, and there's this and digital agencies and media agencies and the likes. And this financial insecurity makes it hard to secure loans or secure a mortgage. Or we're working in industries where we feel like we're constantly switched on, or we're supposed to be constantly available. I suppose one example of this is this whole idea of remote working and this work-life balance guised as work remote working and flexible hours. But we feel that as a result, we need to be constantly on and constantly available because of the extra benefits of this remote working and flexible schedule. It's like we are expected to check our work emails outside of business hours, and that we have to respond to requests immediately, even if it's our day off. And this constant pressure and this blurred boundary between what's work and what's home life is this lack of downtime, of true downtime. It affects our ability to recharge and rejuvenate. I think one thing that we do have to remember when it comes to identifying ourselves as the burnout generation is that we don't complain or blame others for this condition that we are the burnout generation. There's nothing we can do about it, and boomers don't have to go through the pain that we're going through, that we're most susceptible to burnout, and Gen Z don't know what it's like because they don't burn out the same way that we do, and all this. It's like being susceptible to a condition. Maybe you're predisposed to diabetes or predisposed to a heart condition. You don't go around blaming and complaining everyone you meet and that the world is against you, and that all the odds are stacked against you. You were just dealt a bad hand and you just can't do anything about it. You're better off reframing it as, okay, I'm more susceptible to this condition. If I put the right strategies and systems in place, I can have a higher quality of life, and I won't let this affect me. Yes, I may be more susceptible to it, but I can put conditions in place that can probably make me a better player because of the values that I've been taught. That's being a millennial and work and living through these years, being born into before the digital age, and let's say being there from the early stages to now. Yes, you may be more susceptible to burnout, but if you know how to set boundaries, then you're probably setting yourself up for advantages that the previous generation didn't have, and you have the experience that the Gen Zs don't have. And I suppose one thing about that is putting these systems and strategies in place, where to start. I think, especially with give yourself some leeway, the best place that I always like to start is that awareness. Once you're aware that you are more susceptible to burnout and maybe you are experiencing the early symptoms, once you have that awareness, you take a step back and you're like, okay, I see what's going on here. I need to put a system in place to stop this from becoming a downward spiral, to put boundaries in place and prioritize myself so that I can be the best I can be. And the next is to practice that self-care, that self-kindness and compassion, to be like, okay, I need to stop um putting myself down or neglecting myself. I need to start putting myself first so that I can be there to serve at my best and to serve others. And finally, it's prioritizing your self-care. Once you have the self-awareness and the self-compassion in place, you can prioritize your self-care on a daily basis and set boundaries, recognizing that yes, your work is important, but it's also important to disconnect from the work and give yourself time to rest and recharge so that you can show up to your full potential. And also, people will respect your boundaries. If you have a boundary between work and personal time, people will respect that, yes, you're showing up to your full potential and that you value your time at work and that you value your personal time, who you spend your personal time with. And this is a great way of promoting your own, again, valuing your own work time and personal time. Another strategy is to challenge this notion that everyone seems to have around having constant 100% productivity or perfectionism. It's important that our self-worth isn't totally like linked to our jobs or our achievements or that constant need for external validation. We need to embrace the concept of self-compassion and yes, accepting our failures. If you're not failing, then you're obviously not growing. You're not working hard enough. It's from our failures that we learn. And we need to make those constant mistakes and learn from our mistakes without judgment. That should not dictate our self-worth. By cultivating this more balanced perspective, not looking for perfectionism, instead of being perfect, trying to be excellent at what you do, striving for excellence, not perfection. It's important to see that this is a lot more fulfilling as well, that when you're open to making mistakes and learning from them, you're more likely to take action than to be afraid of making mistakes and not taking action and not working towards your best self. Next, again, I've said this before, it's building that support system, building a support network of people who can hold you accountable, who can be there to help you when you need help with something. It's finding those friends, those family, and like-minded individuals who understand what you're going through and empathize with your experience. And they're there for both professional and emotional support. By sharing our personal struggles and seeking advice or simply just having someone there to listen when you need to vent about something, just alleviate those feelings of isolation or that you're working through something on your own. It's one of the best ways to help prevent yourself from burning out. It's important that you need to realize that seeking that support isn't a sign of weakness, but it's a sign of strength. It's a sign that you're acknowledging your needs. Also, as millennials, I think that we need to help address the how burnout is viewed by society, and especially by organizations and employers who think that they're prioritizing work-life balance and by offering remote working and flexible work arrangements, but they're not setting boundaries or they're not encouraging that, you don't check your emails after 5 p.m. or after work hours, that on your days off, it's acceptable and encouraged that you don't reply to work emails on your days off, that you are setting that boundary between your personal life and your work life, and creating supportive and inclusive work environments, promoting a growth culture, empowering employees, empowering people to maybe come up with new ideas and make suggestions, encourage innovation in the workplace. I think that we need to raise awareness of burnout and the importance of mental health. And that's not only a conversation for the workplace, but it's something that we need to have with our friends, with our family, with those closest to us. If we don't normalize these conversations of feeling stressed, feeling burnt out, and prioritizing our own self care first, it's really hard to overcome that stigma. And I think that's one thing that I have started to hear with Give Yourself Some Leeway. It's opening that space for discussion where people can share their stories. People can admit, yes, they've hit a rock bottom, but that was a moment of realization that they realized something had to change for them to be there for others. So I suppose maybe like too long didn't listen version, because this turned from a quick deep dive into almost a little rant from me. So again, millennials being more susceptible to burnout because uh we've gone through an age of a massive advance in tech. We've gone from the brick phone to the touch screen to constantly being on demand, no longer paying 10 cents for a 250 character text message, to like, I mean, unlimited text messages, constantly being online, the influence of social media, and and being in these very demanding work environments. It's being constantly on and not setting those work boundaries. And I think the best way forward is that, we need to start prioritizing that awareness, the awareness that, yes, there's something wrong and we need to do something about it. Self compassion, that we're not at fault here. We can do something about it. And then self care, prioritizing setting those boundaries, seeking support from others, looking for systemic changes, just advocating for systemic changes in our workplaces and in a positive way, not going on strike looking for more pay or more hours, but having that conversation and normalizing, yes, we should have conversations about our mental health and have a more open approach as to what we can do about it. And that way we can establish better work practices and also develop ourselves to be more aligned with our own personal values. So I really hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I hope it all made sense. I tried following my structure, but I tend to go off in tangents and rant after a bit. You probably are aware of that now. But yeah, let me know what you think. And I love your feedback as always. You can reach out to me at giveyourselfsomeleeway.com, Eugene.leeway on Instagram, and shoot me an email, eugene@leeway.ie. Thank you. And I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Until next Monday, take care.